Hi there, welcome back to another video from our Disney series. I'm Julie. Today we're going to document our day in Batuu, and I have to tell you that place is pretty magical. So narrowing down my photos for this layout was not easy. Let me show you how I got this done. We took so many photos that day. Galaxy's Edge is absolutely fantastic. And I remember when I was talking to Janice, I'm like, oh my God, I have like 35 photos that I want to document for that day. Now you could do 3 layouts, but we're working on an album here and I want to try and separate it by theme during the day and night. So I'm going to fit, believe it or not, about 18 photos on this layout, and I'm not going to use a lot of pattern paper. I'm going to let the photos do the talking. So let's go through the photo selections very quickly. Remember I said I had over 35 photos? I've narrowed it down to 18, and that's hard. That in itself is going to take some time. But it's also very important. You don't want to have too many photos on your layout. So let me just pull out what I did with my photos and why. So you can see here that I have 2 full-size photos, and you're wondering, how am I going to put 18 photos on one page? Well, naturally, I thought of a grid style, but I wanted a grid style with some flair, and you'll see that as we progress. So I have here a whole bunch of photos that are going to go on this side, and I tried to be very selective with my photos. I'll talk about this little guy in a moment. So I have this one here, and there's a few photos of Janice and I inside that awesome ride. So we're going to do that. So I'm not sure if you're noticing what I am trying to do here. I'm trying to stack these by theme. And this is the grid that I'm going to play with. Now, what's important with my grid, if you see it, I've got 2 photos that are kind of going this way inside the grid. This is like the bullseye. This red actually dictated some of the paper choices that I will do today. These photos here look really great beside this red photo. I have one red photo, as you can see, and I've got a photo of me here in front of the Millennial Falcon, and then we have the outside of it. You're going to want to put all of these pictures in. And yes, I will be bringing in flip-flaps, but I want to show you that I'm not bringing a whole bunch of flip-flap. I will have one here, definitely. And this is inside the marketplace. This little guy here, so my husband is a Star Wars fanatic, and I kind of felt guilty being there without him. But you know what? It turns out Janice is quite the Star Wars buff. I didn't know that about her. But this little guy, there were a whole bunch of them in one of the shops, and I remember my husband saying that he really wanted this to go inside his R2-D2. He's a builder, so this for him meant a lot. I snapped a photo of it and he goes, "You remembered what it looked like?" And I'm like, how can you forget what this looks like? It's actually kind of hideous looking, but I was able to talk to him and walk him through this area, and he's like, I'm so jealous. So this is definitely going through this ride. When you get to this location, of course, there's some gorgeous photos that you can take outside. This is part of the attraction, and if you want, then you get into this area where it really does look like you are riding in that ship. And of course, I opted to be one of the shooters. So I was back here, and I thought that this looked really good. It actually tells the story. You have us going through the ride and then walking through inside and outside. You have a really good mix of what that day could be. Now you're probably wondering, I don't have all of my photos, and I don't. I really, really wanted to have a large photo. And again, because I had so many photos, that was not an easy task, but I think I've managed it. Take a look at this shot right here. And I just love the color, how big it is. It is really, really majestic when you are walking around this area. I did add my title right on my photo. I did use PicMonkey for that. And you know what? stick around to the end because the next photos I'm going to bring out, I think you're going to want to know how I achieve those. So let me move these up to the top. I don't think it would be a true Star Wars layout if you didn't include stormtroopers. So what I decided to do with my stormtrooper photos, I decided to use it as a base if you want, or even taking away pattern paper and using these little guys as pattern paper. I decided to bring in my mats because I have a lot of photos that I'm trying to negotiate and keep in frame for you. But also I wanted you to see what I have left to add pattern paper. And there's not a lot. I knew that I had a lot of photos and I had some pretty epic photos. So this is a really good sketch if you want for those types of event. It doesn't have to be Star Wars. It could totally be a wedding. It could be a birthday celebration. Definitely where you have tons of photos and you want to feature something in a really grand way. So I think that this is going to work. Let me bring in some pattern papers because I do need some. And as I mentioned before, you see this one photo here? This kind of dictated where I was going to go and which direction I was going to go. As you can see here, even the title is done in red, and that was completely influenced by that photo. I knew that this was going to draw in the eye to look at what was going on the page, but I didn't want you to zone in on that one red photo on my layout. So let me bring out some papers. I don't have a lot to pick from this time around, and you might be a little surprised. Now, I did audition this pack. This is the Botanical Textures, and when you look at the back side, and this is most likely going to make an appearance in my book, but see this paper here in the black? I don't have a whole bunch of it, and I thought that I could kind of sneak it in underneath. Now let me see here if I can sneak that in, and it's going to be a little bit hard for you to see because I have black mats. So really what you see on this side is something like this. So I'm going to remove the other photos so that I can try and move this on my page. So I'm going to have a little bit on this side that's going to peek out, and then I would have a little bit on this side, and you can see that this piece is not big enough. I just want to give you a visual. I'm trying to do that in the best way possible. So this was my thought. I don't even think I'm going to put mats around these. I think that I'm going to separate them out with this black, and then I would have a little bit more black on this side. We're just going to move these so that they make a little bit more sense. We're going to get rid of some of these. So I've got some black, and then I have to do something at the back. This is a really good pack when you were trying to do Disney photos because it has a lot of patterns. I would have liked this one. I would have liked this one because it has a lot of that galaxy type feel to it, but for this layout here, I don't have enough. This is the last piece that I have, so I might have to buy a new pack. It does come in the gray, but the gray really doesn't work with all of my photos and the colors. So I thought, okay, well, maybe I have to keep looking, right? So we're going to keep looking because I think this would have looked really neat. So because I knew I wanted to bring in some red to complement what was going on with the title and this photo here, I pulled out this Christmas paper. This is Seasons of Elegance, and it's working better than I thought. So I'm going to pull out some of these pages. So let me show you this paper. Isn't that great? Now you're probably thinking, okay, that's a little bit too much. And you know what? You're right. But what I really like about it, and I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick up on it, on this piece, there's just these little faint dots of gold. And I thought, okay, I think that's going to work. So we're going to remove the black piece out. Although I want to bring in black on pretty much all of my pages, I don't think I'll be able to do it on this one here. So you can see right away, my title is a little bit hard to read on camera, but in real life, it's the same red. Now this is definitely too much. So let's hide that. And look at this kind of galaxy look that I'm getting. I really like that. And I'm going to bring it on this side as well. So I am going to hide all of this gold. Let me show you my choice for this one here. I really would have liked this to work, but it's more on the green side, and these are definitely blue, like the brilliant blue of the sky. So we did not use this one, but it might make an appearance. And then I looked at these ones here, and I've already cut into this one. The greens are not going to go. I'm just trying to find those beige ones. Now I am sacrificing all of this gold, you're going to say, but look at this and this one here. Do you see that really gorgeous pattern that's at the back? This one here, I only have one sheet. I don't need two sheets because I'm using, again, my photos to do all the heavy lifting. So let me just slide that underneath, and that's not going to slide. Kind of figured it wouldn't. So let me bring them back in, and kind of feel like it has that sand kind of look. And we're going to add a little bit of red, which is going to be a pop of red, and then we're going to separate it by photos. This is going to be hidden, and then we're going to have a little bit more red. I really love this piece of paper. It's just that right texture to bring all of my photos to life without taking over. I'm truly letting the photos do all the heavy lifting for this layout. Let me cut down these pieces. I'll remove some of this gold because it's a little bit distracting right now, and we'll see how the photos are truly the star of this layout. Let's take a look at the layout now that I've cut down all of my pieces. And I actually did adhere all of my photos down because definitely my head would have been in the shot here. I had to make sure everything was nice and straight. Had you told me that it was going to look this good, I wouldn't have believed you. I have two small pieces of pattern paper here. Now I did add some gold. So this is gold metallic paper. I wanted to add the gold to pick up on the very delicate little gold flecks that are in this paper, and it kind of looks like stars. I know it's a bit of a stretch, but you know what? I love how this turned out. I especially love how this turned out right here at the bottom. Now, you may not have this photo, and you may not be able to do what I've done with this particular picture. You could definitely put pattern paper, but don't forget, hang tight. I'm going to show you how. This was a photo taken from an iPhone, believe it or not. And no, it was not a panoramic photo. Now, when I was looking at this, it was missing one thing. I felt that, you know, the in-between line here, there was something missing. I know I don't want to put a lot of paper, but I just wanted to add something. And when I found this zip strip or branding strip from this sheet of paper, I actually kind of had a little squeal. I'm not going to lie. This is an old paper from close to my heart, and I actually cut it down, and then I thought, okay, maybe I should show you what this looks like. This was the branding strip from an old mix-in collection. It was, let me see if I can piece it together. It was a mix-in from January, February, and I don't have a date, but look at the pattern. Isn't that just perfect? So I did go ahead and I cut it in half, and I'm going to add it right here. And I wanted to show you that. I'm going to trim this down, of course, but I'm going to add it right here at the bottom and right here. And I find that it really kind of unifies that page. There's not a lot, but the pattern itself is pretty cool. It really matches my photos, and I'm pretty stoked about that. Now, I did mention to you that I was going to add some flip flaps. I have one here where we have, you know, kind of like the same theme if you want, the ride. And then here I was able to sneak my journaling right in the back of the flip flaps. I really, really like that. And then of course here I have my little, it's a monkey lizard. That's what this thing is called. If you're out there, take a look. They're everywhere. They're kind of weird actually, but I'm going to sneak him underneath this flip flap right here. Now let's take a moment and I will show you how I achieve this look with this photo. Let's go ahead and go through some of the steps I did to create that really cool photo border. I'm using PicMonkey. I do pay for a subscription, but I think you can do this with the free version as well. We're going to start with a blank canvas. I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look for photo sizes. They have several down here. You're going to pick 8.5 by 11. That's the size you need, or that's the size that fits in my printer here at home. So I'm going to use that size. Go to the setting gear, and then I want you to click on the grid. The standard grid is not going to help us for this project. We're going to go ahead and customize that. We're going to go into rows. We're going to add 11 rows, which is going to separate my page into 1 inch. And then for the columns, if I was to put 8, that is not correct because I know that my piece is 8.5. So I've gone ahead here and I've put 16. So 2 of those equal 1. And then when I go down, those are all 1 inch. This really helps me when I want to size my pictures, and it kind of keeps me on track. But we're going to drag in that photo, and this is just a standard photo clicked from an iPhone. Actually, Janice did that, and I'm really thankful she did, because wow, they really usher you in quickly for this section of this ride. But we have the stormtroopers, and I did size that to the size I need for the left-hand side, or the right, can't remember now. So this is roughly 2 inches by 7.25. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a copy. I'm going to take that copy, use the gear at the top, rotate that 90 degrees, and I'm going to slide that up because I know that the next section is quite longer. So this one here is for 1 page and we're working on the other page right here. I'm going to duplicate that photo one more time. So the next thing I want to do here is flip that second image. Do you see this stormtrooper at the top? He looks like he's at the front. That's just because of the angle of the photo. I'm going to select the other one and I just flip that. So he's at the bottom and the other one is at the top. And I really like the way that it frames the bottom of my layout. I'm going to go ahead, slide that into place. Now this is probably just a preference of mine, but I like to turn the grid off. I find that it's less distracting when I'm trying to line up those stormtroopers. Now you can do that pretty easily because there's so many of them and they all look the same. I did find that by moving that second photo to the background, it kind of helped with the fact that the floor is uneven, and it's uneven because of the angle. And I did try and straighten out that photo as best as I could, but I still have this black line. And really, that's the only thing that kind of gives you the indication that this is 2 photos. I'm going to wiggle that one stormtrooper into place so that they're kind of one on top of each other. And then to remedy the fact that the floor or the floor line is not straight, I'm just going to cut that off. Now, yes, I am going to cut off some of their feet, but this is not a featured photo. This is a photo that is acting as a border, and I'm actually replacing pattern paper for these photos that we are creating here together. And I thought that was a lot of fun. So now that I have my 2 pieces together, you might have noticed that I have a series of pages here on the right hand side, and you can work throughout all of your pages. This was my first page that I created, and again, that grid that I created really helped me size that large photo. And what's fun about it is that that grid will repeat itself. If I pick another page, that grid is there too. Hopefully you will give this a try and print different size right from home. Let's take a look at the layout one more time. Hopefully you'll give this a try if you can print from home. And when you're looking at this layout, I'm not even going to add any embellishments. Let me know if you think I should, but I really don't know where to add embellishments on this page. When you look at this layout, it feels pretty cohesive, and the photos are really the star of the show. I was able to put a lot of photos on here by, using 3x3s, full-size photos, and even this huge photo on this side. I really do love the way it turned out, and you know what? Again, not a lot of pattern paper. The title is right here on my photo. And here you'll notice that I did add some black mats to my photos. I find that they do stand out a little bit more. Let me know what you think and if you would add embellishments on this page. I'm quite happy with the results. Now, if you have a photo heavy day like this layout right here, this is a great way to showcase all of your photos without making them look cluttered on the page. I hope that I've given you some ideas and inspiration to scrapbook your very own Star Wars memories. Don't forget to come back and check out Janice's layout. She'll be scrapbooking the same day. I can't wait to see what she's done with these photos. Have yourself a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now. If you're interested in this video series, we have a playlist right here. Hopefully you will find some great tips and ideas to scrapbook your own Disney memories. See you there.